You sure he's dead? Hold on. Let me make sure that's what he's saying. Hold on.
Crazy.
This one is groundbreaking. Wait till you hear this.
Hold on. Are you sure he's dead? Whoa! They're talking about pull him out of there. Are you sure he's dead? And keep your poker faces.
All right, y'all. We have an update from the last video that I did, which is the Nolan Wells case. You know that we talked about that emergency call being released after they called for the boat tow and didn't even need to be towed for whatever reason. A bunch of mysteries there. But what I wanted to focus on this update is the boat call, but the things that we were hearing in the background. Now, when I played it the first time, it was very muffled. There's not a lot you could hear, but some of that call was missing from what we had. But now we have the complete release of it, which I found out that they released later, which I don't know why they released just that portion. But again, another thing for people to look at and be like, why did that happen that way? But let's take a look at this and then let's talk about it.
How many adults on board?
There are 0 adults on board.
There's nobody on board the boat?
No. Nobody
right.
here is over the age of 21.
Sir, that was not the question.
Now, this version we shared originally obtained by TMZ would only capture when you first hear the driver of the boat speak with the operator. Now, late Saturday night, local outlet WLOX would go on to release a completely unedited version of the call provided by the Mississippi Department of Maritime Resources. And in the first few seconds, it appears for some that not only Wells was on the boat with his friends when they left Horn Island, that he also appeared to have passed away amongst them.
And that part right there is going to be the craziest part. No matter what went down, no matter what happened, no matter how it happened, if it is a proven fact that this happened and they was there to see it, that right there blows everything out the water and everybody needs to answer. That shows that there was actively an effort to make this go away.
The call, while hold music played, you can hear panic from an unidentified young woman who appears to say Nolan, followed by, oh my God. Now, as the driver of the boat tries to explain the situation regarding the boat itself, you would then hear a male voice in the background seemingly yell, wake up, wake the F up.
CETO assistant, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please tell me we have a membership?
All right, of course. How far is the word coming up, sir?
Now, of course, due to the conversations in the background not taking place a part of the actual call, the way some are hearing this could be challenged by those who choose not to see it that way.
Yeah, so a lot of people are questioning this because they wanted to find out, okay, what were they really saying? From what I've been seeing is that a lot of people keep saying things and paying attention to like details that don't really matter. Like even in the last video, I had a bunch of people saying, well, it wasn't a 911 call. Okay, so what? It doesn't matter. What matters is what they said in the call. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing that I want people to stray away from, worrying about these details that don't really matter in this situation, that people shouldn't be arguing whether this is the 911 call or emergency call. The point is that there was a call. What did they say in the call and what was going on in the background, right? That's what I want people to focus on. So High Plus News removed the background noises and attempted to isolate the sound. So that's what we're going to hear right now. Y'all tell me what y'all hear from this.
Okay. Oh my God.
Damn sure sounds like they said Nolan. And that's very important because if they say Nolan during this call, that means Nolan was on the boat, which completely obliterates the story of Nolan staying behind. Once that story right there of Nolan staying behind is no longer valid, everybody needs to answer. And I think the frustration that's coming is the fact that this stuff is already readily available to the people that are investigating this. Why are there some people not being questioned? I think that's the problem, and that's the reason why people are frustrated, because people look at this and they're like, they want to be so careful with all the details in this case. But we've seen other cases where they don't give a shit. They just ready to label somebody as whatever with a quickness. But now y'all want to have this caution, pending investigation. We want to look into all the details.
CETO assistant, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please tell me we have a membership?
All right, of course. How far is the word coming up, sir?
And you hear that. Wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. Who are they talking to? We already heard the name Nolan. Also in the call, we heard them ask, do you need the Coast Guard? He said, no, we do not need the Coast Guard. And then all of a sudden, you don't need a tow anymore. I wonder why. Did you talk to your grandfather and your grandfather advised you of what to do? Don't get the tow? Like, it's so many holes in this story. And this is why I told y'all in the last video, it's important for us to sit here and speculate. Because the speculation and the questions and the coming up with scenarios is the only reason why these people feel the pressure to bring out the truth. Now, what you're going to hear in this clip is you're going to hear the captain who is speaking with the emergency services for them to figure out whether or not they need a tow. So you heard me mention the grandfather, and listen to what he says here.
Hi, Captain Seth. This is Vicky from International. How you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good. I apologize ahead of time. I really do. You're going to have a fee for service come up under Jerry.
Okay.
It sounds like a bunch of kids on board on Horn Island. He's letting me know that his father's a member, but he can't give me any information. And he's saying the boat is sinking. And he's on Horn Island. It's just unfortunate. He's just a kid. There's a lot going on. So
Right.
he said there's about a lot of people on board. He says he thinks about 7. I'm guessing they're all under 18.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to be rude. He wants you guys to go out there and unpump the boat and then tow it in.
Do you know what kind of boat it is?
He said a Triton 24-footer, but that's all he can give me.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just actually got off the phone with his grandpa, who I'm guessing is the owner of the boat. And
Is it
he
Jerry?
said that
Mhm.
Jerry, yeah. He said,
Okay.
I just hung up with him. He said that they don't need any help right now, but if something changes, he'll call me back.
We tripping though, huh? Okay.
Oh,
I'm
right.
guessing that they may have figured it out, because that's what he said. So they're in a panic and their boat won't crank.
Yeah,
Or,
they're in a panic.
Since the beginning of this case, many have questioned Wells' friend's story, as many things appeared inconsistent throughout, and those online will call out the entire situation as being a cover-up of the death of another black teen in Mississippi. So what happens next? Given that this call is now officially 22 days old, we're certain the local officials and investigators have examined it by now. And given that agencies like the FBI are involved, we can also be certain that they have the resources to completely clean distorted audio with specialized forensic audio tools that can isolate speech. Now, according to reports, the FBI has perfected this ability since the 1960s as a way to improve distorted speech from wiretaps, 911 calls, and covert body wires. Now, in what we unveiled is the case, and we all have now witnessed that Nolan was back on the boat that day where he potentially lost his life. Many individuals can now face consequences, like all of his friends who were on the boat that never gave Wells' family and authorities the truth and potentially helped get rid of his body. The stepmother of Warren Hudson, Judge Ashley Cole, who would push potential false statements. The grandfather, Wyatt Pyron, who looks to have helped his grandson avoid serious consequences. The adults who supplied the teens with alcohol, causing them to potentially make terrible decisions that day. And local law enforcement for failing to aggressively move forward on making arrests when there were signs early on, like Exhibit A.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a lot of things to be answered for. The liquor, you know, all them kids on that island just drinking. Somebody providing the liquor. There were adults there as well. So they were sitting there watching them drink. Somebody provided it. The fact that they got pictures, they all out here flaunting around, they got liquor in their hands. You know, there's so many holes in this shit. So many questions.
And more specifically for Sheriff John Ledbetter for expressing he didn't see any signs of foul play before an autopsy was even conducted. This recent update not only could highlight criminal bias, but also media bias because, again, this audio is over 20 days old. But for some reason, none of the major outlets played it in its entirety, which would have captured the slurred speech by Pyron, the boat's driver, thus potentially incriminating him of boating under the influence.
Yeah, so if you remember, they had that one clip, and the one clip that they played was just a clip of him saying, "We're taking our water, we need a tow." Take that however you want, but let's keep it honest here. If somebody is saying they need a tow and that they're taking our water, you're looking at it as if there was an emergency situation that happened. I don't know if that's supposed to be the setup play for the alibi that they're going to use, but why not release the whole call? Why release that clip? So later on, we find out in the whole freaking call that somebody said Nolan's name. So to me, that shows that Nolan was on the boat. And that right there is the beginning of everything. Because if you remember, the story was that he never made it on the boat. So once that story is fucked up and it's gone, the whole thing falls apart and everybody is complicit. Everyone on that boat is complicit at that point. Because everyone's story was that he stayed behind with somebody else. So if they lying about that, what else they lying about? Come on, y'all. Come on. I know there's people out there that doubt that there's any kind of wrongdoing. And you're right in that we don't know what happened. But we could sure as hell put 2 and 2 together and understand that something ain't looking right.
As well as capturing him stating that none of the occupants of the boat were over 21 years old, the legal drinking age in Mississippi.
Okay.
How many adults on board?
There are 0 adults on board.
There's nobody on board the boat?
No. Nobody
right.
here is over the age of 21.
Sir, that was not the question.
On Thursday, Mississippi District Attorney Angel Miles McIlrath would speak out about the case and would defend the pace of the investigation as it would now be presented to a grand jury when it's complete.
I understand the public's urgency to know what happened to Nolan, but we are not taking time for time's sake. We are taking the time required to complete the work this investigation demands. Since Nolan was reported missing, local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies have worked around the clock investigating what happened to him. Every piece of evidence must be examined. Every credible lead must be followed to its conclusion.
Listen, I hear all that, but again, like I told y'all, it's just funny to me how when it's something like this, all these privileged kids that could possibly be in trouble over this shit, now all of a sudden, y'all gotta find every little thing. Y'all gotta make sure that everything is right before you say anything and accuse anybody of anything. We done seen so many times, bruh. So many times where they jump to conclusions when it's something else. Now when it's these kids in the mix, oh, now we gotta find everything. We gotta go step by step, make sure every single thing is right. That's how they play in our faces. I'm just here to tell y'all what I see. So take it how you want to take it.
Every witness interview must be analyzed in context of all other evidence. The pressure for answers does not change what the work requires. I also understand that many people have questions about why more information has not been released publicly. In Mississippi, the rules of professional conduct restrict the information a prosecutor can release during an investigation. Our restraint in communicating facts and evidence is not an effort to keep the truth from the public. It is an effort to protect the integrity of this investigation and the grand jury proceeding. As your district attorney, I have an ethical obligation to avoid public statements that could influence witnesses, prejudice a proceeding, or compromise the fairness of the legal process. My obligation extends to and requires me to use reasonable care to ensure investigating agencies avoid making those statements and releasing information as well. These rules exist to protect the search for the truth, not to prevent it. When the public asks, what about this, or have they looked at that, or did they think about this? The answer is yes. Those are the same questions investigators ask. The difference is that we can't publicly discuss the evidence, the interviews, or what those efforts have uncovered while the investigation is underway.
As far as Wells' family, they continue to ask witnesses to come forward and are expected to investigate Wells' phone with investigators assigned to the case. We all are also awaiting the findings from Wells' first autopsy now that the independent autopsy deemed his cause of death as undetermined. And so if this captured audio accurately depicts what many are now hearing, the pain and lack of trust that Black Americans have expressed becomes more valid. And on the birth of Emmett Till, July 25th, 85 years later, Mississippi gains another stain on the state's history.
Yeah, so listen, man, again, I told y'all, there's something that's not right about this, and everybody can see it. And I feel like at this point, if you're not questioning anything that happened and you just going along with everything and you kind of got doubts that these kids have anything to do with anything, I don't know what you've been watching and what you've been on. I really don't. Let's listen to this a little bit. She's gonna play some parts of the audio, and I want y'all to listen because she slows it down and repeats it so that you can kind of hear what they're saying.
There was something else they said before, is he dead? Something about his face. Hold on. Hold his face. Hold him out of there. Hold him. Hold him out of there. Hold him. Pull him out of there.
Pull him out of there. Pull him out of where?
You hear it? Pull him. Pull him out of there. When he did that thing, he was like, the whole time he had a poker face. Like, he had no emotion. If this is your fucking friend, he had no emotion.
Listening back to it, I hear now, hold his face.
Of his actual death. He went back to the scene of the crime, because it's a crime, and had no emotion on his face. A poker face.
I hear, hold his face.
You sure he's dead? Hold on. Let me make sure that's what he's saying. Hold on.
Crazy.
This one is groundbreaking. Wait till you hear this.
Hold on. Are you sure he's dead? Whoa! They're talking about pull him out of there. Are you sure he's dead? And keep your poker faces. Listen. The mother of the boy on the boat. Are you sure he's dead? Are you sure he's dead?
That's crazy. Listen, man, I'll tell you what, if it ain't one thing, this is why people need to speculate, because the people that's out here, this internet shit, you know, it's a lot of fuckery going on the internet. But if there's one thing that the internet could do, they could crack a case. Because it's like, the internet is like, if you're a criminal, the internet is your worst detective. Because this internet shit, people will get together, put all these things together, and they will find out what the fuck happened. That's one thing I get the internet, man. This is not, the internet will be your worst enemy if you a criminal.
He's dead? A girl said, he's dead? Wow. Are you sure he's dead? He's dead. Pull him out of there. One girl says, a poker face. A guy says, are you sure he's dead? A girl says, he's dead? Can we tag his mom or Crump or somebody? Can somebody clip this part? Oh my God.
The thing is, y'all really doubt that the investigators have this. They might have this information. They might have already came to the conclusion that this is what they said. The thing is, they're not saying anything. And we don't know whether that's strategically for a reason, or because most of the time when some stuff come out like this, like, you got enough to say this ain't adding up, because you already got conflicting stories. Once you have conflicting stories, somebody tells you one thing and you come back and it's a whole nother thing. That's already your reason to figure out, okay, let's bring them in because this ain't looking right. That right there just kills the whole thing. If Nolan is proven to be on that boat, everybody got to get it at that point, because they all lied and said that he wasn't. The story was he was not on the boat because he stayed back. Think about that timeline. He not on the boat, he stayed back. Everything from there doesn't matter. You are now part of this because you lied about it. So that means whatever happened after he got on that boat, you didn't want anybody to know, and you lied.
Nolan, something about pick up. Nolan, and then somebody else says pick up.
Oh, wake up.
He says something, pick up. Hold on. I hear Nolan. He's dead. Nolan, something, like a name. Pick up. Tell her. Tell her jump off. Oh my God. It's like they were calling to get Nolan help and then change their fucking minds. Oh. Are you sure he's dead? Hold on. He's dead. Nolan, pick up. I don't know the name he's saying. Oh my God. I want to go back again. Tell her jump off.
Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
And a girl's talking after the guy says, oh my God.
Speaking. How can I help you?
I still see him. Whoa. Whoa. He's gonna be talking, hey, take a beat. But listen behind that. A guy says, oh my God. And the girl says, I still see him.
This is rough, man. Like I said, these things gonna keep coming out. I think at this point, the friends, they cook. Regardless of how people try to change this and make it seem like it's something, you can't use the accident route now. Because let's say the scenario is this, and I'm only saying this scenario based on what we've been hearing here. Let's say the scenario was that, let's say something happened to Nolan on that boat. Nolan either passes out or Nolan is out for whatever reason, whether somebody did something or he fell, whatever the case is. Now you have Nolan there and you have people saying, Nolan, wake up. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Did something happen to Nolan? He went overboard and then they got him out of the water? Or did something happen to Nolan on the boat and they put him in the water? Because regardless of the story, somehow Nolan ends up back in the water. How'd that happen? And that completely contradicts the story of he was never on the boat. This is gonna get ugly, man. It's gonna get ugly because these answers are gonna come out. And I don't know if they're holding this near and dear to themselves because they don't want this to come out and they're so desperately trying to find another scenario. But the minute Nolan is on that boat, everything else collapses. That accident story doesn't work anymore. Because regardless if it was an accident, regardless if he fell in the water, regardless if something happened and he did it on his own, he ended up back in that water, and you came back and told the story of him never being there. You told the story of him staying back, and all of y'all on that boat saw him on that boat. So we gonna keep following this. Like I said, not gonna let up. We gonna keep speculating. We gonna keep coming up with scenarios. And shout out to all the people that's online analyzing shit and looking at shit and trying to put things together. This is a collective effort. Appreciate everybody that's watching, that tunes in to watch me talk about it. We'll see where this goes, but I think this is going to an ugly place for these teens. And if they lied about it, nobody's gonna have remorse about that, man. And I get it. It's a bunch of kids. They panicking. They on a boat. They don't know what to do. If the kid dies, they're trying to figure out something to do. But the last thing you want to do is go back and lie and do this to somebody that you said was your best friend. It's insane, man. But to the next video, y'all.
It's not enough. Few solid niggas left, but it's not enough. Few bitches that'll really step, but it's not enough. Say you bigger than myself, but it's not enough. I get on their ass, yeah, somebody gotta do it. I made them niggas mad, yeah, somebody gotta do it. I take the G-Pad, yeah, watch a nigga do it. We survived outside, all from the music, nigga, what are we? They like, what he on? This the Alpha and Omega, bitch, welcome home. This is not a song, this a revelation, how to get a nigga gone.